Hello guys, it's Low Tech Gaming here, and we're gonna take a quick look at 0.18. It's gonna be the next update coming out, hopefully around the end of this month, if not the beginning of November. It's fairly interesting. Now, when I first read about it, it seemed unreal for the most part, but I'm interested to see how it goes. So what we have here is that they're adding sniper rifles to the game. Now, from what I can tell, it's kind of how I kind of always pictured it being, essentially, with the new steady aim like system in weapons. So essentially it's just going to be very high accuracy, high damage, maybe even a one-shot kill, I have no idea, but it will also take a huge amount of time to actually steady your aim, basically. And I can suspect that changing targets might hinder your ability to actually steady that aim as well. So it's probably only going to be effective against like single non-moving targets, basically. It's going to be really good in one-on-one fights with people with rifles, I would imagine, especially if you can get into a prone position. According to the release notes, actually, for the dev branch, it's only going to be available in skirmish and dead harvest modes. I'm thinking that they'll probably just want to test it out for now. It's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see if they actually add it to the full game, as it would be really interesting to see what happens with that. Yeah, so here we have a sniper rifle. It has a incredibly long range. It has terrible. Okay, so like even if I move it like slightly, it just like loses its zoom. It is taking forever to lock onto this tree here. But if I stabilize it, I can still get it. Oh, that sounds lethal. Alright. Yeah, so it has very long max range, or so I'd say it'd be about maybe definitely over like 40 meters, probably. Absolutely insane. It says terrible when standing. Let's try crouching here. It's a little bit better when crouching, though if I change target to so, it immediately loses focus. So it's a little faster when crouched. Love to get living targets. And then if I go prone, it is much faster. So yeah, this is going to be almost impossible to use at night. It's maximum range, but it's going to be very deadly if you can get into one of these bunker complexes here. Let's take a look at that. Little sniper watch post. It's fairly good effective range. Well, it takes a while. No, due to the mobility of the game, you're kind of gonna have to focus it at where you think the enemy's gonna be at, and then just pull the trigger when they get within that cone, basically. So you're gonna kind of have to like set up like a kill zone and just fire it out. So if you move it like slightly, it just loses all the focus. It's absolutely insane. Now, what is the Dead Harvest event? From what I can tell, the Dead Harvest event is basically has zombies in it, basically. There's more details coming in. But essentially, you can apparently play as zombies. I thought it would kind of be more interesting if they had it where you would have it where maybe You have one team or so, either Wardens or Colonials or so, with all the player base, and it'd just be like a giant PvE event where you just have constant zombies coming out, and you have to work together, or maybe have it where you can choose your side, but actually, okay, so there are two ideas that I would have for it that would be really cool. The first would be strictly PvE, where you have both Warden and Colonial soldiers working together to survive against the undead. So you have the entire player base trying to deal with the zombies. And then you have it where they might have different goals or different objectives or so, but they are trying to work together to survive against the undead. And it gets really hectic because it is just utter chaos or so. Maybe there's like zombies everywhere that are randomly spawning in multiple different locations. So constantly having active turret networks or so. Well, not turret, those aren't in the game anymore, but having active FOB set up with base defenses all over, but not just base defenses, but heavily armed gun nests and pillboxes or so. Tanks would be useless or so, so you have to rely on ACs and half-tracks to deal with enemy zombies and whatnot or so. And just this colossal mess where the zombie count is high enough and they are durable enough to the point where they are actually a threat and can push back a entire team, essentially. I think that would be cool. My second idea is having, well, it's the normal world conquest or so, but those zombies in the middle of it. So you still have to go and deal with your objectives, except for now you have to deal with the fact that zombies will consistently spawn in all the time across the entire map, making it so getting logistics over is impossible. Having it where safe positions behind the lines are no longer safe unless they have a constant like line of defenses, and then also having it where the decay rate is increased drastically or so if you don't have garrison supplies, making it so you constantly have to have garrison supplies on all these FOBs, making it a nightmare. Of course, you have to reduce the victory like total of cities you have to get up to level 3 in order for it to be workable and winnable, but it would be fairly interesting. So any of those two would be okay. So it sounds like it might be where one team might be zombies, one team might be players. We don't really have that many details on it, but I would like to see one of my two ideas go because I think it would be a lot of fun. Moving on, so this is actually something I actually wanted for a long time. It is the ability to set your production queues to different statuses or so. So you could set it up to where, like currently, you can only pick up your own orders, and I think your own orders become public after some time, basically. But now they have it where you can set it up to only being picked up by you or to someone in your squad, allowing for you to set up queued up orders that your squad can pick up, or you can have it where anyone on your team basically can pick up your order. So you can just publicly set up huge amounts of queues or so if you trust your team, I guess. But I feel like that is necessary because of the fact that it just allows for a more streamlined logistics or so, where people can have roles. One person can bring in B-mats and doesn't have to be there to actually pick them up when they're ready or so. One person can essentially, take those B-mats and turn them into weapons or so. And you can just have this huge logistical line that would be very interesting to see. Let's see, home base, rule changes. So, from what I can tell, if you have a fort as your home base or so, and you capture like a town in like a region or so, then your home base will be moved over to that town. Thus, well, I guess it's... I don't know. I feel like that already technically happens just because of the fact that the forts are normally the last thing to be taken anyway. And I do feel like with that setup, you could then launch more division assaults and like breaking into a Legion. Say you could take a fort way behind the Legion lines, and then you could take over a town that's right across the border, so when everyone's distracted, and then move the home spawn point, over to there, basically. So that would be kind of meh about it. It's cool, I suppose. Moving on. So they have what is it? They've lengthened the delay time between switching seats between different seats inside the vehicle, basically. This makes it so essentially if you are in one compartment, basically, it's going to be harder to juggle to like another location. So basically, so like if you were like in like a tank, and let's say your driver gets out to repair your tank, and then I don't know, your driver gets killed. Either like infantryman comes out of nowhere, or a howitzer shell lands and kills your driver, basically. It now takes longer for anyone else inside that tank to switch over to the driver's seat in order to get the tank moving again. Which is alright. I mean, I think I really only switched seats when I was driving. Well, I occasionally switched seats between, like, I guess the gunner and the commander view or so in a tank in order to get a better idea of what was going on. I think mostly I've just been using it to switch between the driver and the passenger seat of a truck in order to get out if, like, the driver's position was, like, blocked, basically. So, kind of mad about that. Kind of interested in what they're doing with the shotgun incompetence because of the fact that they've increased it by 100%. So what this means is that now shotgunners are going to be, on average, slower, especially if they try to haul more equipment around, basically. They've also decreased the effective range of the shotgun, making it less... I mean, shotguns aren't overpowered, but like in like day fights, basically, as long as anyone's paying attention, shotgunners can't get anywhere close to you. It's only like around corners that they're very useful. But there was a problem with people basically using like, what is it? Like before they had it where there was a huge stability penalty, or like, yeah, before they added the stability penalties to like all these rifles or so, basically, where you would have to stop and shoot, basically. So people were just doing 360s and crazy maneuvers just trying to shoot you, basically. And I feel like the shotguns were the only weapon that actually went through that entire update unscathed. So it would be nice if this helps bring them to bear, basically. So it brings it to the point where you don't see one person with a shotgun just running into a crowd, dodging all this fire and just killing everyone, basically, because like he's not lightly encumbered at all, so basically. So it'll be kind of interested to see how that works. It looks like they've decreased the stability penalty for moving for both the pistol and the revolver. I really don't use these weapons. I feel like everyone already, stops or so in order to like accurately fire. I think it might be used, maybe nerf them a little bit or so. We'll have to wait and see about that. The rest of the game balance changes revolve around, garrison supplies or so, and garrison facilities, basically. Well, I feel like the developers know that no one's using them, because garrison supplies were meant to stop decay, but the thing about it is that mostly I think decay's been nerfed to the point where it's not as noticeable, basically, at this point. So no one's like making garrison supplies. So what they've done is that they've increased the amount of garrison supplies you get per order, as well as they've decreased the amount of parts you need in order to get garrison facilities at your FOBs. But I think the main problem is that still the decay rate is not high enough to warrant getting garrison supplies. I mean, I have not noticed it. I would have to literally look at the garrison, or I have to look at the decay rate now and see if it's actually noticeable to the point where if you don't have Garrison supplies in this FOB, then you're doomed. You just aren't going to be, like, they would have to make it where if FOB does not have garrison supplies, that it actually, the surrounding fortifications aren't as effective. Like, say they have a 50% fire rate decrease if there aren't active garrison supplies in the forward base or something like that. Or so something not on the lines of decay, but something that actually has a negative impact on the effectiveness of fortifications. That would be a way to get people to make more garrison supplies, but as it stands, even by increasing the amount you get and decreasing the amount of upgrade parts you need to actually build them, so I still don't see them as being that useful, in my opinion. Okay, so other changes they've added. One of the problems I did have with the current system, with the new interface and everything, is that if you were pulling supplies from FOB, it would not tell you if you were encumbered until you actually moved out of the menu, essentially. So I think what this means is that now you can tell when you're encumbered or if you've added too much stuff to your inventory now. What else? They've switched fuel to the supply tab. Okay. Okay, so they've added, well, apparently players who had left an operation remain in the recent voice box, or so in a set operation, basically. So they've made it so now when they leave, they don't show up at all within the operation. They've also added a sound effect where players who leave and join the operations make like a little sound effect within the operation that everyone can hear, so they can get a kind of an audio cue as to how many people are joining and leaving the operation. They've changed storage facilities to storage depots. Okay. Monument data is no longer downloaded every session. Okay. Don't really know about that. I think it might be referring to maybe the stats for like the monuments back at the home bases. It might be the stats from that. As I typically don't look at them, so I don't know about that. Apparently the item count overflows when there are too many items of a specific type. Oh, okay. So essentially, I think if you were trying to put too many items of a specific type into an FOB or a town base, I think it might have just deleted them, I guess. So now it just like outright rejects them and just like essentially puts them in like the giant widespread inventory tab for the FOB or town base, so they don't get deleted. This is really cool. So vehicles no longer shift above ground after exiting them. That's been a huge problem for like months, basically. It was actually infuriating. So to be like in the middle of a combat zone with your truck, only to exit out of it and then have it floating above you. So, because then you have a choice of either having someone else take your truck and use it, or you would have to literally move until the truck unrendered to get back in it and be able to use it again. So that's really cool. And then they're going to have a larger list of bugs that they're fixing in the upcoming patch notes for the game. So overall, kind of interested in this. It's not as big as Industry at War, but I got to get my hands on this sniper rifle and see how well it works. Also, the Dead Harvest event. Well, we'll have to see how interesting that is. So I've noticed that after the sale, so a good amount of players dropped off of the game, so it'd be nice to see if maybe the event gets more of them to join it back into the fold, I guess, or so. Or regain some interest in the game, so we'll have to see what happens with that. Anywho, thank you for watching, and I hope to catch you guys next time.